I'm Rebecca Hall. I am the curator at the USC Pacific Asia Museum. I have been at the museum about 3.5 years, and I oversee the installation of objects in our permanent galleries, and I also help create special exhibitions here. We are celebrating our 50th anniversary, and we were founded in 1971. We are located inside the historic Grace Nicholson building, which is an imperial Chinese-style building. And when you enter into the museum, you'll find a beautiful courtyard awaiting you. And past the courtyard, you'll find our permanent exhibition galleries. The Korean collection at the USC Pacific Asia Museum covers a broad period of time dating from the Three Kingdoms period until the contemporary era. And we have about 270 objects in our collection that come from Korea. It is one of the best researched part of our museums, part of our collection. And as a result, we really understand how to present these objects in our gallery. And so when you enter the Korean gallery, you will get to see a variety of things, including celadon ceramics, porcelain ceramics. You'll get to see paintings that come from the Joseon period, and you can see Buddhist and shamanic objects as well. So here we see a mask that depicts a depraved monk. And it is a mask that would have been worn in a village performance or a village kind of drama that is done to appease the village guardian. And what I love about this mask is that, of course, the title is that he's a depraved monk, but if you look at the expression of this mask, you'd never guess it was a monk because he's got these joyful eyes that look a little bit too excited, and he's got this big smile on his face, and it stands very much in contrast to usual depictions of monks that we see, where usually monks are solemn and peaceful. And so you can tell if this is a monk that he's up to no good. And you can imagine the kind of actions that the person who's wearing this mask would have been doing in the village production. One of the great treasures of our Korean collection is the painting behind me that is by the artist Park Soo-keun. It's a painting called Homeward Bound, and Park was one of the great painters of the modern era. He was painting in the mid-20th century, and he was a self-taught artist who really focused his attention on the everyday lives of the common people in Korea. And so what you'll see when you look at his canvases are the people going about doing regular things, and it was something that he focused on in his work. He was working at a time when Korea was regularly at war. As a result, you'll see images like the one in our painting, which depicts only women, and that's because many of the men were often off at war. And so the landscape of Korea at that time really was largely women doing their everyday work. One of the really wonderful things about Park's painting surface is that he used oil on canvas, and he built up the surfaces of his paintings so that they have this incredible texture. As you look at the image, you'll see underneath all of the layers of oil paint that make his surfaces so unique. And so one of the really wonderful things is that he's taking this kind of art form that he taught himself and using it to help people understand the beauty of the Korean people and the Korean landscape that he saw around him. Behind me is a set of 3 folding screens that depict hunting scenes. The screens date to the 19th century, and the hunters depicted on the screens are Manchurians who are riding on horseback and hunting tigers in this wonderful mountainous landscape that you can see surrounding them. It's a really beautiful screen because you can see the amount of detail that the artists used to create the figures of the hunters, the horses, and the animals, but you can also see a very different style and the detail that the painters used to create the mountains and the landscape. And when this painting came into our collection, it had some damage in that if you looked at the screen, you could see that it was kind of, the frame had warped, and you could see that some of the damage where the hinges kind of held the screen together and where you would open and close it. And you could also see that some of the colors of the clothing had faded. And so we actually received a grant from the National Museums of Korea to conserve the screen. So we sent it up to a conservator who lives in the Bay Area here in California. And he spent a good deal of time fixing all of these details and refreshing the screen so that it now lays flat and is no longer damaged. He made the colors more vibrant and really did a lot of wonderful work to give the screen a new life. And so we celebrate that in our galleries, and we have the opportunity to kind of display the screen and keep it in this beautiful form for many, many years to come. A tomb figure that we know probably came from a pathway leading up to the tomb for a king or somebody very elite in the government. And he is absolutely wonderful. What I love about him is that he really is wearing the clothes of a minister, some kind of government worker, a worker of the court from the Joseon period. And you can see his beautiful sleeves and the hat that he wears so that you almost feel like you're in the presence of a 16th century government minister. And now we know that these figures would have been placed around tombs to help show the elite status of the person buried inside. come visit us at the USC Pacific Asia Museum in Pasadena, California, where you can see this wonderful selection of Korean objects together with things from across the Asia-Pacific world. And you can come celebrate our 50th anniversary with us and look at what the future holds for this collection of objects.